Hey everybody, how you doing? This is True Powers Mind. This is TPIM. That's our live. Today's date, May 24th, 2019, the year of our Lord, yeah. Hopefully everyone's having a wonderful morning. Getting everything together that you may need so that you can be the best you can possibly be today. Got a lot of great news. Supposed to have a guest on today. Brother Judah awoke. Basically, I'm having some telecommunication issues here at the studio. Trying to get him on the backup line right now. Oh my gosh, it's good morning, Brother Murder. Good morning. I'm so glad the Most High woke us up. I was really looking forward to this conversation. Brother Judah is very well traveled, very well spoken. Basically, the boots and the eyes in the city of Detroit for us. Has a lot of information. But while we wait for him to call in, greetings, Brother Al. Welcome to the show. And while he's, hopefully he'll call in. I sent over a message. All right, let's get the news up here, y'all. Now I wanted to say about a special guest I'm supposed to be having later on today. It's going to be a surprise. All right. Hopefully, hold on. Let me. Once again, it's the camera, yeah. There, perfect. I wanted to bring up what's going on in the UK because it's kind of indicative of what's going on in the whole, I guess, Western world, where we have people actively trying to get out of past agreements, past treaties, past, excuse me, government systems. Now, as we all know, May leaves in June. Isn't that sad? Mayday, Mayday murder, Mayday. The Prime Minister's going down. All right. And then, oh, very good, baby. You look really nice. Now, this, hold on one second, y'all. Let me get, little baby girl just woke up. I'm just going to get her a bowl of cereal real quick. I'll be right back. Hold on. Right back. All right. All right, sir. Had to do a couple of things real quick. Brother David, welcome to the show. Welcome to the show. Now, let's get right into it. So crazy doctored video drama. No, that's not what I really want to talk about. This cretin right here, Assange. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, yeah. But how can an Australian citizen be charged with treason in the United States? I mean, exactly how does that work? You know, Brother Al, is it possible for Canada to pick you up? Hey, Kim, welcome to the show. Kim Clark. Is it legal for Australia to pick, or not Australia, let's just use Canada. They come, they grab you up, and yeah, even, okay, you may work for us, but your treason would mean that, I thought treason means that you basically go against the Constitution, meaning that you're up under the Constitution. I mean, there's a lot of people that work for us, a lot of contractors, but are their acts really treasonous? Now, if you're a citizen and you do what he did, I guess that could be considered treason. But I don't think treason would apply. Sell out a government. So if I was, okay, let's say that I had secret information about the Chinese military industrial complex, okay, or Russian, and I posted this information, and somehow the Russians or Chinese snatched me up. Could they really charge me with treason? I'm not a citizen of China. I'm not a citizen of Russia. I'm not subject to their laws. I'm not on their land. I'm not in their territory. I mean, I'm not trying to advocate what he did, all right? I'm not trying to do that. Unless you are at the top of the organization, there are no secrets. Full gold. Fool's gold, yes. And really, what has he told us? What did Assange really tell us that Dick Gregory already didn't tell us? I mean, if you didn't realize the government's listening in on your conversations, the government's reading some of your emails, you're really sad. You're really gone. The remote side on Aussie, yeah, it's Pine Gap. It's Pine Gap, the base down there, where it's I think in Queensland, I believe, or the Queensland territory. It's really out in the middle of nowhere. It's all these satellite arrays, basically an eavesdropping center for the whole southern hemisphere of the planet. Some would even argue the whole planet itself. I have no problem with government spying on people. Okay. I do have a problem with governments, once their spying activities is exposed, trying to do something about it. No, if you want to spy on people, spy on people. If that's your priority, do it. But once you get busted, there should be no consequences for anyone who did the busting. What you need to do is take reevaluate your security situations and tighten it up. Freedom of speech really shouldn't mean freedom of speech. In other words, if secrets are that desperate and oh my God, then you probably need to get better people in there that can actually keep a secret. You know, how many people are getting hired just because of what they look like, or maybe because of what they act like? But these people are not loyal and they have no couth about them. They're too busy watching us, our colors. You know that's right. And the sad thing about it, folks, we're still being watched. We are still being watched. And if you think that it's a joke and you think that they're playing games, when you're doing whatever you may be doing out there, and you're using social media, or you're using your cell phone, or you're even using emails to do whatever the illegal activities you may be into, I'm warning you right now. You continue down that road, you're going to get busted. You're going to be brought to task. And I don't want to see nobody going to jail. It, except for those murderers and rapists, people who harm people like that. All intelligence agencies are tied to the church. James Jesus Angleton personally managed the Vatican's desk at the CIA. A cardinal calls, he answers. Wow, that's really sad. That's really so. It's like the Catholic Intelligence Agency now. Well, not now. Probably always has been. But I guess what I'm asking you, brothers, do you feel safer? And everybody in the chat room, anyone in the chat room, do you Catholics in action? Yeah, yes, brother Murray, Catholic in action. Hell no, brother Albert. Hell no. I don't feel safer either. You know, back when I was a kid, all right, before the internet was really, everywhere, obviously the internet was still around in the 80s, but it was just for scientists and military personnel. But we still had actual spies, meaning we still had people that would be deep cover 7-10 years in different countries. They'll be feeding us real-time information. But I don't think we really too much have that nowadays. I don't think we really too much have the human element of the spy game. I think a lot of that's been lost. It's been automated. It's easier to have a satellite. No, sir, welcome to the show. We live in a system of white supremacy. How can anyone feel safe? Wow. Well. Shogun, welcome to the show. I don't think anyone necessarily feels safe in regards to that topic. I think a lot of people feel anger. They feel hurt. They feel betrayed. I think a lot of us need to rethink our moves, rethink our personal goals. They keep files on people like they do now. Alan Dulles was head of the CIA under Kennedy, and his nephew Avery Dulles is a cardinal. Hold on. Let's see who this Avery Dulles character is, because that name sounds vaguely familiar. Like in my personal circles, back when I used to be somebody very important. All right. Let's see. Did they say Judas priest? Oh, Jesuit priest. So, oh boy was. Oh, he must have died December 12th, 2008, the year of our Lord. Hold on. Let's, I want to make sure everybody can see that. Oh, and they cannot. I don't understand why. There, that should be a little better. All right. So what does it say about old boy? Was a Jesuit priest, theologian, and cardinal of the Catholic Church. Dulles served on the faculty of Woodstock College from 1960 to 1974. I was only 2 years old when he left there. On the Catholic University of America from 74 to 1988. So he had a little intellectual career. I want to see Society of the Jesuits. Wow, that sun is so creepy looking. But okay. I'm just kind of scanning through here, y'all. Farewell death address. Worked. The New World of Faith. Hold on. Let me go back here. CIA connection. There it is right there. As head of the Central Intelligence Agency during the Cold Wars, wow. Director of the Central Intelligence Agency. So, boy, was the director, man. Pretty, oh my God, when did red become a divine color? You know, your guess is as good as mine, Brother Al, at this point. His father, John Foster. You know, Brother Murder, you should just call on in, man. You got too much information just to be sitting there typing. Hell, the show should just call you. Yeah, we're that type of show. We call the callers. We're not going to wait. You don't call me, we call you. That would be messed up. That's just how we get down around here, y'all. Brother David, welcome. Oh, I already told you welcome, but welcome again. Truthfully, Al, Morris flags 10,000 plus years older. Oldest first ever. That's why, believe it or not. You know, there's a lot of people wanting to understand the true past. Seriously, there's a lot of people wanting to understand why we are in the shape we're in. And most people believe, excuse me, that it's just about consequences to actions. I don't care how you break it down. The reason why we are here is because of consequences to actions. Now, this is kind of where I differ than a lot of people. I don't care about the consequences to the action that got us where we're at. Because I had no control over that, guys. I wasn't around 100 years ago. I was barely been around this place for 46 years. But what I do recognize in each and every one of us is the potential for change and the potential to cause change, either for the righteous cause or the unrighteous cause. Brothers and sisters, as atheism grows, as spirituality is demonized quite literally, you believe in it? You believe in imaginary God? Oh, you're an idiot. As that type of mindset continues to be proliferated throughout our society, you watch and you see that what I'm talking about the trains don't come true. You watch and see. We can use any geographic location on this whole planet where genocide has took place. And the people doing the genociding are not real believers of any faith. The people who are putting people into trenches during World War II, you really think they were Christians? The people who were putting people up underneath the rice paddies in China, do you really think they were Buddhists? The people who were by the hundreds of thousands in Kemet killing folks and dismembering them during the 60s. You really think they were the faithful? You see, the army of darkness, the army of evil, the army of the least high, not the most high, but the least high, his army can wear a uniform of anybody. They can come as a nurse. They can come as a teacher. They can come as a police officer. They can come as a senator, a president, even one's lover. or even one's children. You see, what we fail to realize, the army of the least high is everywhere. Yes, brother Al, they are eating Muslims in Burma now. And let's face it, we ain't going to hold back on the show. Right now, in these United States, you know who's the target religious group? Muslims. Oh, didn't you know? They're so evil. They're so cruel. They blew up the World Trade Building. They 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 take journalists out there in the desert. But no one gives any consideration to the true Muslims that don't engage in that particular um, activities. Once again, the army of the least high can come as a so-called Christian, can come as a so-called Muslim, can come as a so-called Hindu, come as a so-called Buddhist, come as a so-called atheist, come as a so-called Satanist. And what I'm talking about is in their hearts, they belong to the army of the least high. It's just like we was talking about with the CIA. They used to send people into organizations personally to infiltrate. Well, the army of the least high has done the exact same thing. They have admitted who did the World Trade, but dummies don't read. Of course, they don't. It's the same people that assassinate Martin Luther King. Yeah, it came out in the trial too. There was some complicitness with some of these very agencies we were talking about earlier. You know, there's a name that each and every one of y'all should know. Fred Hampton. Fred Hampton was not CIA, was a Black Power leader or Black Panther leader in Chicago during the 60s, gunned down during a so-called police raid. No one cares nowadays. You know the reason why no one cares? Yeah. Yes, baby. Very good. Mwah. I burped. You burped. Oh. Well, at least they excuse you. Excuse me. You're excused. Now, a lot of martyrs in the movement, they're remembered after the event. But after 10, 15, 20, 30 years, unless you're Malcolm X, Dr. King, you're not going to be remembered. You're not going to be remembered. And if you don't achieve anything within the short time that you're alive, your mission is going to go unfulfilled. If you're about liberation, if you're about freedom for all. And when I mean freedom for all, not freedom from one set of rules to the next set of rules. I'm talking about true damn freedom. True freedom. See, the problem that I have with the situation now, whatever group's in control, you have better kind of walk the line with them or else you will be punished. Most people don't even know anything about Malcolm. That's kind of trueness, sir. But I mean, they know enough that they've seen the movie and all that good stuff. The power of this world corporate with you, then or cooperate with you, then they martyr you, like John Birch, Martin Luther King, and so on. All right, murder. Is that phone charged up yet, man? This is getting ridiculous. You could have just said that in like 2 seconds. Pow. Born ready. Let's go. All right. The show's giving a life call to a friend. All right, hold on. Uh-oh. Yeah, this is probably the only show that actually calls callers to get their opinion. Brother Murder.
How you doing?
Welcome to the show. Welcome to the show.
Appreciate it.
Now, you were saying some very provocative, or not saying, you was literally typing some very provocative things in the chat room. Can you elaborate a little bit?
Where do you want me to start?
Let's start with your last comment. The powerful of this world cooperates with you, then they martyr you. The reason why I want to start there, because when I was talking to Mark from Anaheim last night, I mentioned to him one of the most, personally for me, I don't know about everyone else, basically disturbing things he has ever told us on the show was black power, white controlled.
Oh, yeah, I mean, he knows. If anybody knows, it's him. I mean, as far as, first-hand experience.
Right.
But, I mean, you take, for example, I said John Birch. John Birch was OSS. He was betrayed into the hands of Mao Zedong and killed. That plan was being orchestrated by who other than Wild Bill Donovan.
Who's Wild Bill Donovan?
Wild Bill Donovan was the first head of the OSS, the precursor to the CIA as we know it.
Right. That's where Mark has told us a lot of the old SS officers were processed into our intelligence network, kind of through that organization, right?
Yeah, at the top, they were working together. There was no real dissension at top ranks. I mean, you kind of have an idea of who was at the top if they didn't die during the war or didn't die under certain unforeseen circumstances. You take a guy like Otto Skorzeny, Hitler's bodyguard. He lived to be, I believe, 78, 79, somewhere in South America.
Oh, my God. When we look at South America, now, the geopolitical situation down there is kind of, tenacious right now because of the fact that you got basically, I guess, descendant of the colonizers, and then you have the descendants of the native people, and it's like they're fighting for power. Why do you think that there's so much interest by, other than the oil, unless that's the only reason why, but why do you think there's so much interest for us to be meddling in South American affairs or Latin American affairs?
One part of me wants to say it's another cleanup job. A lot of the Nazi gold, Nazi assets expired, so to speak, in South America. That's part of it. I don't know. I mean, it's several things. I don't really want to go off on one tangent or another. It's timing. Not to be vague. It's just timing.
Wow. Now, what about when we look at, Argentina? I know you're quite aware that Hitler escaped Berlin at the end of the war. Do you think he ended in Argentina? Or do you think he went on to go farther south to Antarctica?
I doubt it. Because for the most part, he played his role and he was rewarded with, pretty much he died in peace. I don't think they had any use for him as far as, exploring Antarctica or anything like that. He just had to, lay low and stay out of the public eye. I mean, as far as what I've learned, I don't think they needed him for further Nazi endeavors, especially when you have the Bush family, which really isn't the Bush family that I recently learned, but.
Hey, hold on. What family are they? Share what you learned.
Hold on a quick second. I got my information on another page.
Yeah, that's fine. Absolutely. While he's grabbing that information, for those who don't know, apparently Tony Robbins filmed using racial slurs. I quote, you might not be able to see this on your screen. As long as a man can look at you and say nigger, then that man's probably going to get smacked the fuck up if he's in arm reach. I mean, I'm just telling you, Mr. Rogers, or Mr. Robbins. All right, you're back with us, Murder?
Yeah, I'm back with you. I shared a link in the chat if anybody wants to look or read along.
Hold on. I don't. When, I don't. It didn't. It didn't show up over here.
It didn't?
It's not in the chat room. I don't see a link.
Hold on, let me type it in. How about now?
Like when I post links in the chat rooms, it should show up, don't it?
It should.
Hold on, I'll post a link to this article copy. And tell me if it pops up. This is just a test, y'all. Do you see the link in the chat room?
No, I don't see anything from you.
It did, okay. Well, they just say Albert and David said it did. Well, this is disturbing.
I mean, I can read some of it if I can't share it visually.
Yeah, but I do want that link.
I'll send it to you if I can't get it through the chat again.
Okay, now go ahead and read it for us because I'm terribly interested.
All right. You remember I brought up a gentleman, Hitler's bodyguard, Otto Skorzeny?
Yes.
Otto Skorzeny was is related to a George Scherf Jr. and his father, George H. Scherf Jr. The Scherf family is what you now know as the Bushes. They were Germans.
Wow. I mean, there's really no big surprise there. It seems like a lot of our political figures were Germans. It actually seems like...
I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
And right now, I'm looking at a picture of a young, what we now know as H.W. Bush, also, George H. Scherf Jr. I have Prescott Bush, known as George Sr., in a picture with Borman, with Reinhard Gehlen. A lot of these high-ranking Nazi guys are pretty much taking a family picture, and I'm looking at that right now.
Oh, man, I wish I could have that. Is there any way I can put a Google search in and get to where you're at?
Just type in, hold on, I'm going to put it in the chat. Not the link, but I'm going to put it with the search. Hold on.
Oh, okay, good. I want to see this picture, y'all. See, this is what I like about this show. We can be anywhere. We can talk about racial issues. We can talk about, I'm back, audio good, righteous, Brother Al.
I typed his name in the chat. You should be able to get there from there.
What the fuck's going on here? Can you just okay, there it is, finally. It's okay, we got a serious lag here. Serious lag. Okay, I'm going to punch it up for the TV viewers. All right. Now, where should I go at from here? I got the first thing that came up, in memoriam, George H. Scherf, a.k.a. George W. Bush. It came out December 2nd, 2018. Is that the article you're on, or?
No, I'm on a different site. It's like a WordPress page.
WordPress?
Yeah, I'm going to try this link again. I don't know if you're going to get it or not.
Try images? Yeah, I will try that if I don't see WordPress. Okay. Let me try images. Whoa. Hey,
yeah, one of the pictures, that's what's featured on the site. Yeah.
Okay, so you see the picture I got up there on the screen now?
Yeah, with Otto Skorzeny as he got older. Yeah.
Oh, my God.
I believe he was Hitler's bodyguard till his death. So if anybody knew where Hitler was, it was that guy. And he made several deathbed confessions.
My gosh, man. Oh, I remember this picture where the Nazis are saluting with the Catholic bishops.
Yep.
No.
Hitler signed a concordat with the Vatican.
You see, that's one thing I always wondered. How the hell, if, I mean, I'm not saying he wasn't evil, but if he was so damn evil, how the hell did he leave the Vatican intact? Basically towards the end of the war, the Nazi army basically occupied Italy to booster Mussolini.
Yeah, but it was never meant. I mean, you're not going to bite the hand that feeds you, not on that scale. That's, one controls the other.
I see what you're saying. So when we look at what's going on now, do you think that the Nazis have infiltrated our government?
In every aspect you can name, any department, any government agency you want to name, there's a good Nazi or two at the top, no less.
Wow. This is, the sad thing about it, I guess because, they're not actively out here killing people and putting stars on people's shoulders and shit. I think sometimes people believe that they're gone. You know what I mean? That, like, I'm not talking about people like us. I'm talking about just the average Joe. They believe that they're not in existence. They believe in the KKK guy or the skinhead, but they don't really believe in the organized Nazis. You know what I'm saying? Hold on. Y'all ain't close to the power of the Bushes. Daddy Bush took neutron missiles to dismantle. Nevers. Wait, I cannot pronounce your name, but I've seen you around. I appreciate you coming to the show. Navars. Nevers. Y'all ain't close to the power of the Bushes. Daddy Bush took the neutron missiles to dismantle. Shogun, they are government. David was never an infiltration. Same team, making it look like infiltration. Wow. So, Brother Murders.
Yeah.
Have you heard about the Tony Robbins thing yet?
Tony Robbins, you talking about the guy that used to sell like self-help books or something like that?
That guy.
Okay, yeah, I remember.
Have you heard about him basically calling people niggers at one of his little seminars?
I mean, stuff like that just doesn't really surprise me in this day and age. I mean, people have been emboldened to pretty much say whatever they want to say, regardless of the repercussions.
Well, this happened like when he was a kid, I guess, back in the 80s. I'm not going to play the video because I don't want to be demonetized. Well, fuck it. I'm going to play the video. I don't give a fuck. We're playing a video.
As long as a man can look at you and say, nigger, hold on. As long as somebody can do that, as long as somebody's calling you nigger and get that kind of response, I see you right now, when you're ready to explode, then what you've done is given that person absolute control of you. You have no control in your life. You are still a slave. I said, you are. But you're being enslaved by you and nothing else. And I said, I'd like to have you be free because I'm free and I'm white. So why don't you pretend that we're going to get you free right now? And I suggest here's the way to do it. Everyone stand up. I said, stand up. Come on, try something with me. Trust me just for a moment. Pretend I'm black.
Okay, enough of that. Enough of that garbage. All right. So, that wasn't as bad as what I thought it was. I thought he was actually talking. He's just kind of talking in general. I mean, that was bad. Missed that. Yeah. We'll check him. Look, it should not be about our feelings anymore. We need to get straight up business like. It's just business. We got to understand there's going to be people out there that's going to hate us no matter what we do, no matter how nice we are, how religious we are, how whatever we are. There's always going to be people who hate us and want the worst for us. My question to you, Brother Martyr, what do you think we can actively do today to heal ourselves? Hold on, is Brother Murder still there?
Yeah, I'm sorry, I didn't hear you.
Oh, I asked, what do you think we as black folks today can do to heal ourselves from those who, basically hate us, beat us down and shit? How can we heal ourselves? Because they're not going to heal us. We have to heal ourselves.
Turn off the TV, turn off the radio, try to stay away from the social media, because it's just in a day and age where it's really not helping, I guess if you want to say, black folks in particular. I mean, look at all the mess that goes on Facebook and how that turns into real life violence.
Yes.
You said this about my mama, my baby daddy, whoever. I want to meet you here at this place at this time and fight you. Now, the other person you said that to, they're not going to fight you. They're going to bring a gun, and that's going to be that. You get what I'm saying?
Yes.
It's just a lot of the media in general. It's rotting our brains, and we're at a place where we need 130% of our brain, if not more. We need as much as we can get, or keep rather. But I mean, a lot of this stuff is rotting us out. It really is. Especially, you can go from anything from like little YouTube videos to the big time TV shows like Real Housewives or wherever the hell, or The View, The Talk, all that mess. It's more than a distraction. It's sugar. It's confectionery. It's just a little quick fix it gives you, to take you away from what's really going on.
Wow, that is so true.
I don't nearly watch as much TV or, and I have to be careful with YouTube too, because you can kind of go down a rabbit hole with that.
Yes, you can. Binge watching something, you stumble across somebody's channel that kind of resonates with you, and the next thing you know, you're like 2 days into this. Mm-hmm. Peace, Brother Albert. Man, hopefully your appointment goes well, brother, and everything's okay. So what about the whole, okay, as we sit right now here in the United States, you have to be honest that we are getting more racially polarized as a people. I'm not saying that we was ever united. I'm not saying that at all. But it's more, I think, upfront and in your face nowadays. What do you think is going to tamp that back down, if anything?
I don't know, a couple million raining from the sky in each major city. I don't know.
No, I mean, is there anything like, I guess I'm trying to ask you a hard question. Do you think black folks are being unreasonable when we want to be respected, we want to have economic viability, and we want to have a piece of property that we can call our own? Is that honestly, and no bullshit, is that too much to ask?
You should have said no bullshit. Now I really have to give you my honest answer. To be honest with your brother Pat, I'm very cynical about those types of, things. Mm-hmm. I feel like it's possible, but I mean, if I'm being realistic with myself, it's not, and it was never meant to be that way. I've called in before and I've said everything is as it should be. If you're black, you're supposed to be on average poor and pissed off and angry. And if you're black with some money, you have to pretty much play ball and make sure the rest of them, stay that way. Angry, broke, disappointed, violent at times, if not all the time. It's a game of maintenance. It really is. So, I mean, I could suggest this idea or that theory, whatever, but to be realistic, it's just as empty talk, on my behalf,
That's why I like having you on, brother. That's why I like having you on. Now, even the core of me, hates what you're saying is true. The core of me hates it because I know it's true. Because I see this vision, brother, and I want us to get there. But I do recognize we got to be real, and you're bringing the real talk. It is real. We are exactly where we're supposed to be by design. You know why? Because I'm going to say it like this, y'all. A system cannot fail you if it was not designed for you.
Correct.
All right? That's where this complacency, I think. Because I grew up, brother, indoctrinated, believing the system was here for me as well. Truly. Every day you go to school and you say the Pledge of Allegiance and you do all that. And that indoctrinates a young mind. And then when I get older, I say, no, it's not quite that way. The system's here for you as long as you're willing to mop a floor, clean out a shitter. Yeah, it's all here for you. But if you want to actually be the man at the desk making the decisions on something, no, this system ain't for you.
Yeah.
You see. So ultimately what you're saying, brother, if we want dignity, if we want respect, and if we want wealth, we are going to have to go out there and seize not somebody's property, but vacant property that no one's on. And what I mean by seize, actually purchase it with the talismans or shekels or dollars and build our own community. If that's what we want.
I could see that, yeah.
That's why I'm all about the hub. And thank you to Brother T. Will, and hopefully I'll be talking to him later. Another phone call. My bad. That was Brother Fixico.
Should I hop off?
No, it's fine. Because he's not going to probably want to be on a live show. He called me to talk about, I'm sure, other things.
Okay.
Because right now my cell phone's kind of down. I told everybody to use the call online, which is going to be kind of problematic when I do the shows or whatever for the next few days or whatever. But, the thing about it is, Brother Murder, what is your opinion on people actually trying the whole Black Power movement thing? There's so many. I was reading an article last night. No, not an article. Someone sent me a video. My bad. And this young brother was on there, and apparently he was part of some group. I can't pronounce the name of the group, but it was like a communist / Black Power group. And the chairman of this group was misappropriating monies or something like that. What is your opinion on people who subscribes to joining organizations like that?
You have to realize that you're in a very, what's the term I'm looking for? You're in a very dangerous position when you join those types of groups, because historically there's always been, as I like to say, an agent, so to speak. Someone who puts on and plays the role, but they really don't have your best interest at heart. They get paid money to report on what you're doing. They collect bag, and in exchange, they pass over a few files about, what you've been doing.
Wow.
I mean, we can take a look at, say, the Black Panthers. Bobby Seale and Huey Newton were both Phi Beta Kappa, the little blue and white Negro fraternity. I tend not to keep up with that too much, but they were both Phi Beta Kappa or something like that. And for what I've researched, these fraternal organizations, these secret societies, tend to be the reins by which the horses control. You get what I'm saying?
Yes.
That's where they pick out, okay, he's a good old boy. He's going to do what I tell him to do. I want you to play along, but let's just say every month or two, I want files on every single member of your organization that's talking this pro-blackness, that has guns, that's making money through different operations, whether it's legal or illegal, so on and so forth. And you have to look, in retrospect at the fact that the real deal in the Black community ended up getting killed at some point, even if they were, to a degree, co-conspirators. You get what I'm saying?
Right.
I mean, Martin Luther King was a Mason and so on and so forth, but I'm pretty sure he didn't know they were going to kill him. He probably had an idea.
Well, wasn't he a Mason after he died? Didn't the Masons declare him a Mason on site after he died?
I just feel like with those types of people, they'll do something beforehand and then tell you about it after,
I get you. Like he was a secret Mason, basically a Mason COINTELPRO agent.
Yeah. It's kind of like if I break something in your house as I'm staying there for a few days, and then after I leave, hey man, I broke your vase, I broke your, I broke your remote, that type of mess.
I mean, like, you're never coming back again, bud. Break my shit.
But at least I told you about it, that type of crap.
Can I be honest now? Do you think Black folks, in your opinion, just needs to grow up and get the bootstrap type mentality, or what do you think we should do? Just live our little lives in pain and suffering, or what?
I really just have an all or nothing approach about it. If you're not you in particular, Black people aren't willing to just put the stopgap in the system, stop going to work, stop obeying the law. I mean, just this absolute full-on just rebellion. It doesn't have to be organized. It doesn't need money. It just needs to be something of pure willpower,
Right.
And it has to be all that. It needs to be all or nothing. It just needs to happen that day. And if we can go on for, 10, 15, 20 years until we're truly free and we don't have to, deal with the constraints of this system, that's amazing. But if we all end up dead, at least I'm not here suffering anymore. Not to be so macabre about it.
Wow. You can't be more macabre than that. I like that. I like that.
I mean,
we need to organize a strike day. No, seriously, a strike day. A day that we
once
choose.
and for all, strike day. No more marches, no more speeches.
Yes.
It just needs to be wilding out to the fullest. I mean, if we win, we win. If we lose, we lose. But we really didn't have much to lose in the first place, in a sense.
Right, like Trump said, what else do you got to lose? Vote for me. What else do you got to lose? Strike. Don't go to work. Don't go to school. Don't go, go to the hospital. Obviously, if you have medical issues, I'm not going to suggest not seeking the medical attention ever, because I think that's just kind of backwards and stupid. But, don't go to the beach or camping sites. Just stay at home, enjoy your family. But I see the issue already. What about the brothers and sisters who are just scraping by and they need every dollar to pay that rent? They need every dollar to feed the babies. They need every dollar, to pay the car insurance or whatever their expenses may need. But the strike would be so wonderful if we could pull it off. Hey, good morning, Bishop. Welcome to the show. So,
yeah, I hear that. It's just mentally, I've gotten to a place where I understand this game and I choose to play it in a sense. But at any given time, I could just not, break loose and go crazy and start killing people. But I mean, if I just want to fall off the grid and just live a really just simple, just bare bones type of life, I realize that, I can do that. I'm not really just afraid of the whole, it's a game. Dick Gregory said it, Marcus said it, everybody said it. It's a game. You want to play the money game, you're not a guaranteed winner, and not at where you are. You worry about light bill and car insurance. The rich and powerful don't worry about that type of mess. It's a game.
No. Heck no, they don't worry about that kind of mess. By virtue of being rich, how many rich people went to their cupboard there and only saw cobwebs? It doesn't happen for a couple of reasons. One, they wouldn't be rich if that went down. They would actually be poor. Hold on one second. I was just keying up one of Brother Nick's videos. But now, this is kind of a harsh question, and be honest, no bullshit. I always appreciate your honesty. Do other so-called racists have any role to play in black folks, not so much liberation, but at least justification, being justified, helping out with legal issues and things of that nature?
So you're saying the white supremacists or the racists in general should try to help the black people?
No, I'm talking about anybody.
Anybody.
Yeah, anybody. I don't think you'll be getting help from them, but
yeah. I mean, I get it. I didn't understand the question, but I got you.
Okay.
No, and I mean the reason is like racism. It serves a purpose. The racist person will always believe that their group is a what's the term I'm looking for? Like the Borg or I forget. They're just this one cohesive thing. There's no all white people just do this, and we don't do that. So to come across something that is non-white, I automatically feel better than you, regardless of how I express that. A white racist can spit on you just as much as he can walk past you and never acknowledge your existence.
Damn.
So I mean, expecting, that's the game. It was never meant, for some of these guys to, turn the other cheek and, let me try to understand where the blacks are coming from. Right. All they do is they put together their little arguments. Well, look, 97% of you go to jail by the time you're 30. 23% of you live in single parent home. Blah blah blah. Okay, we know the numbers. We're living it. You know what I'm saying? But are you coming at me on a personal level, or are you just not understanding that this is all by design? They want me to hate you, and they want you to really hate me.
Yes. So that we don't all collectively look at the people behind the damn curtain pulling the levers on the machine. Wouldn't it really be a trip if at the end of the day, when you find out who was really running the world, it was a bunch of old rich black folks somewhere using everybody against everybody to ensure that they remain dominant?
Yeah.
I know that's a bit of a stretch, but ultimately what I'm saying is I believe the true leaders of the the planet, the secret government, the shadow government, whatnot. I don't know if it's all populated with just old white men. I think it's probably populated by wealthy people from all over the planet.
Yeah, I could definitely see that, but I mean, I'm just, just based on seniority, these guys have been here the longest. They've put in the most work. So I mean, it's a white man's game at the end of the day, an old white man's game, and he lets the young ones in when he gets ready.
Wow.
I mean, you saw what happened to JFK. He clearly was missing out on who was really running stuff. He had his head blown off November.
Stop. He lost his head because he didn't know what was going on.
To a degree, yeah. He clearly lost track of who was really running things, amongst other things that got him killed.
Now, don't you find that fascinating that the leader of the so-called free world is basically just nothing more than a puppet of the real masters of the world?
Oh, yeah. I mean, it really took me a minute to just accept that, because I was coming from a place where, how the average person thinks, the president of the United States is the most powerful man on the planet. That's what you think. That's right. Not clearly what you know.
No.
I mean, what happened in Dallas with JFK was really just a key example of that. Anybody can touch your president. I haven't seen anybody shoot a cardinal or really just shoot the Pope.
Well, other than down in Mexico in the 80s, he took a couple of bullets.
Which one? Do you remember? John Paul something?
It was John Paul, I believe. It was John Paul, the one before Pope Benedict.
The second.
Yeah, John Paul II. Yes. But the sad thing about that, and it just makes me think of the saying that actually it was an atheist that told me this. It's like if the main Christian man has to ride around in a Pope mobile with all the bulletproof glass, if he has to do that, then what does the common man hope? I mean, I don't have a bulletproof car to ride around in. You know what I mean? And it's like we got to understand that there's two battles going on fundamentally. Where you want to accept spiritual or not. There's a spiritual battle and a actual physical deal, not like all out war. Okay. But, we all know the reports about the cops pulling, Brother Murder, give me your license. As soon as you go to reach for your license, oh, he's reaching for a gun, Tommy. Pop, 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 pop. And they blow you away right there. All right. So we have to understand that there's a physical thing that we got to contend with, the way you carry yourself, the way you move in society. And then there's the spiritual side. And that really goes back to the way you think and the way you really feel, how much love. I mean, not to sound goofy, but do you ever see a point, Brother Murder, where love will really conquer all?
Once again, being realistic, no. I mean, as far as the tension of the time, a lot of the just, the disappointment, a lot of the disparity. I mean, it's just, it really feels like somebody took a brick and threw it on the gas pedal and just sent the car straight over a cliff, in a sense. Things aren't bad in comparison to what I'm seeing maybe 6 months from now, or really a month from now, but I mean, it's there. And all this lovey mess, people aren't even trying to hear it. People aren't trying to entertain it, really.
You're right about that. I'm not even joking. It's like love has been forsaken. You know what I mean? It's like, I don't know how to describe it. I guess there's so much pent up regress anger in so many people's hearts. It's as if our hearts are truly hardened towards each other. And I'm not just talking about black folks against black folks. I'm talking about black folks against white folks against Asian folks against Hispanic folks. It's like every group has that element within that group that's all about hate. That's all about, if I had my way, I would take all these sons of bitches out and put them in the ground. And that to me is the ultimate tragedy of our whole existence right now. We have this beautiful planet. And if you don't think it's fucking beautiful, then you're just a evil bastard. Look out your window. Look at the sky, look at the clouds, look at the trees, look at the grass, look at all this beautiful shit around us that's designed to either feed us, it's designed to keep the sun off of us, it's designed to heal our bodies when we get sick. But I'm saying until we heal this mental condition in humanity, then what you're saying, Brother Murder, is absolutely, as much as I hate to admit it, it's absolutely 100% on point. There will be no unity. There will be no revolution. But unfortunately, brother, there will be an extermination. And that's
Right.
the only logical conclusion.
Nazi Germany all over again.
It's going to be 2.0. Fully automated. Fully automated.
Probably won't take that long. They were only around for, 12 years?
Yeah. And they decimated. In fact, I believe in Germany, the Jewish population is still less than 3%. Even to this day. Now, granted, a bunch of them, obviously, as soon as they were released, I know I would be getting the hell out of Dodge. You know what I mean? But what is, and I know I've asked you this before, I'm sure, but speaking of the Nazis and how they kind of fixed that situation by sending all the Jews to Israel, how come black folks don't have some sort of territory, from the United States in particular, have some sort of territory that we could possibly relocate to, which we could call our homeland?
Speaking purely in regards to the stupid term I've been hearing, ADOS, American blacks, strictly speaking towards us, why we don't have our own.
Right. Or, why we don't have our own land.
Because we're, as much as a lot of black people don't want to admit it, we're a product of this country. I mean, yeah, our ancestors came from Africa, and they really did build all of this country in one way or another. It's just the fact that we've been altered and tampered with and agitated and manipulated to such a degree. It's really a landless people that we are. Because America's all we know. America's your mama. America's my mama. Dick Gregory said that in one of his interviews. America's all we know. We don't have any great black American conquerors. We do have great black American soldiers, American, military officials. But guess what? That's part of the U.S. Army. That wasn't part of the Black American Army. You get what I'm saying? We've been so integral to this country that we don't stand on our own. You get what I'm saying? What is your heart outside of your chest?
Nothing. It's death.
Right. We're so integral to this country, and we've been here so long, under control, for lack of a more extensive term. It's just, the time has passed for that. Even to attempt something like that, it's just, that was just part of the game. That's what it was meant to be. We're just a landless people. We live here and we have right to the land, of course, but in the eyes of, the racists, the politicians, you name it, the economists, we're expendable,
Absolutely.
And now more than ever. I mean, we're not on plantations, but we're not exactly, just all wealthy business owning men who can make their own means. And, if something happened here like it did in Nazi Germany, a lot of us aren't getting out of here. We don't have that mobility,
Right. We don't. How in the hell is grandma, with her arthritis and bad legs supposed to go somewhere and do something, or uncle who's hooked up to a dialysis machine? Where's he supposed to go? You know what I mean? I do realize there's a lot of health issues that our people suffers from poor diet, because a lot of us, hate to eat plant-based material for whatever reason, maybe because we just can't afford it. But ultimately then, brother, I hate thinking like this. What, we're supposed to just sit here and wait for the executioner to come knocking at the door?
Nope, I would.
So what type of proactive stance do you think we should take?
If you can, of course, over the phone, because this is a live public show, if you can legally own a firearm, I would highly recommend doing so, but I don't really know what they're going to do as far as the gun situation and separating, us from that. But anyway, in the time being, have a piece on you. Stockpile some water. I mean, a lot of this stuff I'm recommending is just basic prepper type stuff. I mean,
right.
I'm just ready for whatever happens. I just want to accept my fate and be done with it. I'm not really can't worry about what you can't control.
Wow, that's true.
If anything, you just have to be in a mindset that knows what's going on, knows what's coming down the pipeline, and if you're prepared and you have the means to take care of you and yours, do so. If you don't, I really wouldn't sweat it, but just know what's coming.
Now in the chat room says something. This is from they're having a conversation over there in the chat room, and this is pertaining to basically the truth. Many don't want to know. Do you think that's true? Many don't want to know. They really want to be ignorant, and because it's bliss.
Yeah, because not every black person is ignorant, but more so they're just in denial. Me and you can go out here and spread the information we know. A lot of people won't even accept it.
Oh, yeah.
That's nonsense. You a little conspiracy theorist, nigga. Get out of my face with that. All that type of mess.
Oh, yeah. The best that I love is when, you look at them and you start talking, and let's say you get into a little rant or whatever, their eyes glaze over. You can literally see the disconnect, like in their mind. They, you think that they're listening to her, they're not saying nothing, so you assume they're listening to you, but they're a million miles away from you. People don't want to hear, and I get it, because oftentimes, Brother Murder, these topics that we discuss on this show and in general are very unpleasant. Let's just say it like that. They're very extremely unpleasant, because people don't want to really realize that there's a wolf out to eat you. There's a big bad wolf that's literally out to eat you. Now, sometimes, as you're going through life, you see the wolf snatch up a brother here, snatch up a sister there. When I say brother and sister in this sense, I'm talking about any human being. And they do what they do, incarcerate them, execute them, whatever. All right. And we kind of sit here like a pack of gazelles while the mighty lions just pigs and chews up. Hey, Brother Nick, welcome to the show. Peace, love, light. I'm going to be playing one of your videos here in a minute. Now, my question is if you had a child, children, what would you instruct that child? How would you instruct that child to operate in the society?
Hello?
Yeah, you still there?
Actually, I got to head out a little bit, but I definitely appreciate being on this, episode.
Yes.
And I'm going to send you that link to your message box on YouTube in
awesome.
like a couple hours, so you could really see what I was talking about. You were close, but it wasn't the exact page I was looking at.
Good deal. And then I'll actually use it in a show. Well, once again, thank you, Brother Murder, for coming on the show. As always, I do appreciate your insight and your honesty. You say a lot of things that a lot of people don't want to hear, but honestly, brother, they need to hear.
Right.
Righteous. All right. Well, I'm going to end this line. I'm going to pull up Brother Nick's video. The Eye on the Sky report from Brother Nick, Area 51, Nick Jackson, Area 51, Area 51. All right. Hey, hold on. Who's this that just popped in here? Is that 144002300 Days? Welcome to the show, brother. All right.
Peace, love and light, my star family. This is not a quick video. This is another update at nighttime, sky update. The moon is being cloaked in and out here and there. Just this weird spot in the sky. But this is the moon up here. It's clear. It's like the brightest spot in the sky next to this this orangeness in the background right here. But for the most part, it is very foggy. Not foggy, but it has a lot of chemtrail over here. Some stars are being pointed out, but this is the moon up here, being cloaked behind this, being blocked with this cloud or ship up here. But you can tell this is the moon up here, individually, just the moon by itself. And then to my right, I see more stars coming out. But yeah, this is the moon up here. The way the cloud is being illuminated by the moon. I think it's either the waning gibbous. It's getting ready to get, the full moon has gotten smaller over the past week, 7 days or so. But this is the moon right here. You see it starting to come out more and more. The way it's shaped, it's shaped like a thumb almost, the way like it's starting to get smaller and smaller in the sky as the days move on. It's quite beautiful tonight by the river, especially by the floodgates over there, by the bridge. But you can see different colors tonight. It's like a indigo, purple, violet color. So I'm gonna get a shot up there pretty soon. But for the most part, this is our moon up here. The moon over SNY, along with chemtrails. It was storming bad earlier, on and off rain. We had another tornado warning that came. But like I said, it's not going to hit here because guess what? I got us. And I know deep down that nothing's going to happen to me or my family, especially with these supposed storms, these random tornado warnings and stuff. Just weird. It was clear all today. Up until around 6 o'clock, it began raining. The clouds started to pull in, and then that's when it started thundering and lightning and raining mainly. But other than that, it's nice out. Very nice. But I just think it's weird how the moon is illuminated like this. These clouds, just these two individual clouds right here. And then up here. But then nowhere else is it illuminated but this general spot right here. It's pitch black anywhere else, everywhere else. The water itself is being somewhat lit up by this iridescent light back here. But I'm in this video right here, my star family, peace, love, and light. Just look at the size of this cloud blocking the moon. It's very, very weird. But it's also kind of cool. They don't want the moon to show, so they got to spray and have these fake clouds or this overcast just to block it. Let alone I can see darkness between the patches, like regular day clouds. Like you're able to see like the blue. I can see the blue and darkness in between these patches right here. You see up here, a patch there, a patch here. And the moon's coming out right now. See, zoom in on it. The moon is right here. Like I said, it's being blocked out by weird clouds and weird chemtrail. Not even a glimpse, but barely a glimpse you can see. All right there. Weather's been fluctuating from hot to cold, day in and day out. I'm in this video right here. My star family, peace, love, and light.
Hey, how's it going? If you're looking to grow a real online business that doesn't involve MLM, doesn't involve e-com, and doesn't involve affiliate marketing, but it's a real business, you can be...
Drones allow us...
All right, now, hold on. I'm sorry, I gotta play this song real quick. It comes from Brother Ken Instrumental, okay? Hold on.
What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome back. Back with you again. There's this girl online, man. She is the best looking girl I've ever seen in a long time. I had to make a little jingle for her too, you dig? Who I'm talking about? I'm talking about every diva pony. This girl looks so good. chocolate, so fine. Happy diva pony. Oh, this girl looks so good. She blows my mind. The first time I saw a clip of her, she was walking. She had a skirt on. Big, thick legs. Mean old walk. Chocolate skin, pretty face. And a little bitty waist. Oh, I'm talking about Happy Diva Pony. This girl looks so good. I can't get her out my mind. Talking about Happy Diva Pony. Ooh, baby. Just gotta go to her Instagram, no. Where did you come from, baby? I can't help but think of you sometimes. I saw all the pictures of you walking and you stalking with your waist dreads. I'm talking about this girl. Her name is Happy Diva Pony. Oh yeah.
All right, I'm back. Hey, Brother Will's in the house. Welcome, man. Cool. I was just talking about you earlier in the show. We're having this is a random day today. You know, we took the call from Brother Murder. All right. I don't know if it's possible, but can you call into the show, Brother Will? Or you want the show to call you? Either way. Hold on. Let me see where. I don't know. Hold on. I thought you did call into the show. This is weird. Okay, no, you haven't. Huh, that's odd. I thought you had called in. Well, don't worry. Just give me a call later. But when you do, just call me on this line here. Hold on, I'm just going to post the number. The call-in line. That's the best number to reach me at. All right? Now, let me switch gears here real quick. Hey, you two stop fighting. Stop fighting. Hold on, there was a... Man, I hate... I'm so sorry, y'all, for not being organized. Well, I can't find it now. Dang it, I cannot find it now. I gotta get what's yes, baby. You want her to share those pencil with you? Yes. All right. Share with your sister, please. All right, go in there. She'll share now. Oh, my goodness. Hold on. Oh, no. This is... Hold on, I'm trying to get to... Doggone it. Oh, come. What, you want... Here, let me get you a pencil. Here, you use this one. And here. You can use that piece of paper. All right? Thank you. You don't have to cry, baby. Oh, my goodness. Okay, let's get to what I was trying to show you. This guy.
Every person has these moments that define them. When my daughter Maya was born.
Now, let's skip to that.
Many just do not realize that science conclusively proves the existence of God. Any true God would never leave his creation, mankind, in doubt about whether he exists.
Then how do you explain the fact that your denomination is such a pitiful sliver of all the numerous conflicting divisions of Christianity, which is as a whole in global decline and will be eclipsed by...
I just want to consciously remind you guys, now this gentleman here goes in hard on Christianity, but Muslims, Hindus, and Buddhists are also on the chopping block as well.
Islam. Yet the irreligious nuns, those who claim no religious beliefs, are the fastest growing prospective demographic, and we're already the world's third largest category with regard to religion. Historically, wise men have always been in doubt as to whether God exists.
Let's consider the incredible complexity of life. Everyone has witnessed explosions. Have you ever seen one that was orderly, or one that created a watch or a clock, or a single thing of exquisite design instead of chaos and destruction? If you threw 1,000,000 hand grenades, you would see them produce chaos and destruction 1,000,000 times. There would never be an exception.
Of course, evolution does not imply that an explosion created anything. Evolution is an aspect of biology, not physics. It's a matter of...
Yes, sir, Shogun. Wise men are seeking knowledge, and wise men are seeking understanding.
Population genetics, descent with inherent modification. That's all it is, and it is independent of cosmology, which is
something completely different.
That being said, cosmology doesn't say that an explosion created anything either. Rather, the Big Bang is considered an explosion only because of the initial speed of inflation of space and time from a singularity. Very shortly thereafter, energy did a conversion to matter, but did not turn into animals living on Earth.
Wait, did you just hear what the guy just said? It comes out of an explosion, the singularity as he calls it, and then he just glazes over so fast. Energy's turned into matter. That's pretty sad. And they say that you don't have to have faith to believe in that. You know, energy turns into matter. I'm going to play it again so you guys can hear it and catch it this time. Let's go back a few seconds.
Not physics. It's a matter of population genetics, descent with inherent modification. That's all it is, and it is independent of cosmology, which is
something completely different.
That being said, cosmology doesn't say that an explosion created anything either. Rather, the Big Bang is considered an explosion only because of the initial speed of inflation of space and time from a singularity. Very shortly thereafter, energy did a conversion to matter, but did not turn into animals living on Earth. Instead, it became subatomic particles, which combined to become atoms. These coalesced in gargantuan numbers in different places, and their massive concentrations generated sufficient pressure to ignite the first stars. Stars run on fusion, slamming hydrogen atoms into each other at such enormous heat and pressure that their protons combine along with neutrons to create all of the other elements in succession. Stars collapse and die, exploding the debris they've created into space. Like a mythical phoenix, stars die in flames and can be reborn in their own ashes.
You know, this is one thing, even as a kid, man. When we're dealing with these spiritual matters and you're looking towards, oh boy, for your answers. I mean, isn't it funny that all these scholars, they can find a little tablet in some little island nation, and how I don't know how they can read it, but they can, and they always, yeah, see, this is similar to the creation story in the Bible, and this and that. It's all, even the Aztecs. They're trying to read their picture. Oh yeah, this is talking about the, you know, it's always coming from one point of view, and you can. The reason why it's dangerous is because when you fall into that pit and you're using their language, their writing, and their understanding to really understand something that should be written on your fucking heart. It should not be written in a book. It should be written on your heart. You know right from wrong. You know that. Hold on. What's going on? Stop it. Fighting with her. Let her play. Let her play. Stop it. Just stop it. Let her play. Let her play too. Oh my gosh. You know, the studio audience is having a meltdown, y'all. They are not wanting to play righteous with each other. But anyhow, As we hear the bullying in the next room. That's what older sisters do. Come here. Come here. Come here. Watch. Here, come out here. Come out here and draw. Come out here and draw me a picture. Here, draw a picture over there for me. All right? Thank you, baby. All right. Now, let's continue. You know, one thing I do find when I break down these videos, I love how they're throwing up these softball scenarios. So easy to rip down. All right, let's continue.
And all those elements that the stars made in massive quantities now ejected into space slowly coalesce into planetary bodies. Then, a different string of chemical processes in these different environments led to the emergent properties of complexity, which had nothing to do with any explosion.
Now, one thing I want to say about evolution, I really need to pick up a picture of this. A great ape. All right. Now, old boy here, this cat, is going to say that you, Shogun, brother, and you, brother T-Will, and you, brother Nick, and everybody else in this chat room, brother Murder, if you're still here, and 144-000-2300 days, all you guys descended from this. This is where you come from. My only question is, why are they still here? If we all descended from them, why are they still here? And if you look at this hair, where is the monkey or the gorilla with nappy hair? No, seriously. Where is the monkey or gorilla with nappy hair? There ain't one. All right? Now, you know, I'm not going to, you know, if he wants to believe he comes from a gorilla, that's on him. Are the gorillas slow develop? I would assume so. I mean, they look like us in their, you know, the head. They got an ear, they got a nose, they got a mouth, they got eyes. Oh no, what's wrong? Do you want to stay out here with me? Or do you want to go in there and play? Oh my God. Okay. Come here. Here, sit here. Can you say hi? Say hi. No. You can't say hi? No. You won't say hi? No. Okay. Well, I'll say hi for her. Hi. Now, you know, you look, see the baby right there? No. You don't see that little baby monkey? No. Do you think that you came from this gorilla? No. Even this baby knows she didn't come from this gorilla. All right? I mean, come on, y'all. Hold on, let's go.
Consider the next quotes involving the likelihood of an explosion creating the entire natural realm of life on Earth, let alone the beautiful magnificence and order seen no matter how far one looks into space. Dr. B.G. Ranganathan said, "The probability of life originating from accident is comparable to the unabridged dictionary resulting from an explosion in a printing shop."
I get the impression that you've never spoken to an actual scientist. You certainly never read the work of any actual scientists. For example, Babu Ranganathan was never a scientist and has no degrees in science. He's not a doctor either. A doctor is someone who has earned or was.
Great point, Nevers. Did he come from an ape? They got the RH issues that affects reproduction. Yes. Yeah. Huh? Oh, yeah. Here. Hold on. Here. Put this on here. Hold on 1 second. I want to speak on that. Here, put this on here. Look. Put this right here. Now hold this, and then you can write. See? Now you can write. All right. The HR, as people don't understand, when you have an HR positive female and an HR or an HR negative man, if they were to get pregnant, that baby will be rejected by the mama in her womb, and she has to take suppressive medicine. Brother Leonard, welcome to the show. So once again, how did we come? And where is the monkey or ape or chimpanzee or orangutan with nappy hair texture? Any other animal
was awarded a PhD, which generally follows a master's degree. There are a number of creationists who pretend to have doctoral degrees but really don't, and don't even have a master's either. In colloquial terms, people who pretend to have degrees or expertise they don't.
Now, well, all he's doing in this is saying if you're not indoctrinated by a panel of idiots and get a degree by said panel, then whatever you have to say isn't worthy. That's very dismissive.
Really have are practicing quackery. You can also call them charlatans, or you can call them frauds, because that's what they are. The man you're calling doctor only has a bachelor's degree, and it's not even a bachelor of science, it's a bachelor of arts, and he got that from Bob Jones Fundamentalist Christian University, where we shouldn't expect that anyone on the whole faculty knows dick about evolution. I read a review of Ranganathan's book on Amazon, and it said that if you can make it through 10 pages of this tract without finding numerous errors of the most basic science, you may need to go back to junior high. And based on that, I think you might look out of place taking remedial lessons in a classroom full of 8th graders.
And this only speaks to the likelihood of any life at all, rather than the most highly complex forms such as large animals or human beings. What of all the millions of kinds of life existing today?
There are no kinds of life. A kind is a false taxon invented by creationists trying to conceal the truth of taxonomy, how it always only ever reveals a cladistic phylogeny with a branching tree pattern of common ancestors. Creationists cannot discern any specially created kinds, as they would absolutely have to if there was any truth to their position at all. Neither can they appropriately use words like species, genus, order, or phylum for the same reason. The phylogeny challenge is the ultimate damnation of creationism, the proof that it cannot be true, and that ultimately evolution is definitely, demonstrably, and verifiably true. A systematic classification of life forms reveals a successive series of descendant groups within parental categories, like a set of Russian Matryoshka dolls. These categories are inextricably interconnected, such that every organism on Earth is evidently related to everything else, and that every new species that ever emerged was a modified version of whatever its ancestors were. Biodiversity at every level is a matter of incremental, superficial changes being slowly compiled atop successive tiers of fundamental similarities, which are how clades are identified. This is exactly what Darwin described, and if you don't understand this, you don't understand evolution.
The English...
Trying to act serious and professional, growing that up. That was funny, Brother Nick. That was funny. You know what we got going on here, guys, are two deceivers, kind of. If they don't really believe what they're saying, they're deceiving. And they're arguing a point just to get you out of your spirituality. And I will say this until the day I go to glory. I believe in the Most High God. I believe in his power, and I believe in his reality, because I myself am real. And I myself am a child of his. Let's continue.
Professor of astronomy at Cambridge University, Sir Fred Hoyle, also stated, the chance that higher forms have emerged in this way is comparable with the chance that a tornado sweeping through a junkyard might assemble a Boeing 747 from the materials therein.
As we've already established in a previous video, Fred Hoyle had no comprehension of evolution at all. There are thousands of scientists today who do, but strangely you won't cite any of them. Like Professor Kenneth Miller, for example, who not only has a real PhD, but it's in the specific subject he talks about, which is rarely or never the case with creationists. Most of the self-professed creation scientists are either engineers or dentists. Dr. Miller holds traditional Christian beliefs, but he still understands the facts of evolution so well that he is the leading textbook author on the subject. The people you cite are usually either quacks from the ICR or hacks from the Discovery Institute.
Brother Derek, welcome to the show, brother. Glad the Most High woke you up and got you up in here. We're breaking down. And the only reason why I'm going so hard in on this, I want you guys to see it. I don't want it to be I don't want it to be a shock to any of y'all. When the news articles comes out and they say creationism is taken out of school, we all came from monkeys. Sit down and shut up as they throw a banana at you. And you better not be offended because that's what your ancient people ate. Monkey. Let's continue.
Many are lawyers rather than scientists. In a publicized debate against intelligent design theorists, Philip Johnson, Michael Behe, Berlinski, and others, Dr. Kenneth Miller showed that he could debate the lot of them by himself and still prevail every time.
Consider the common mousetrap. Everyone is familiar with it, and most have used one. Which part of a mousetrap could you remove and it would still work? The answer, none. While ingenious, it is still a very simple mechanism. Since the mousetrap cannot be made any simpler, it represents a condition called irreducible complexity.
Professor Miller also famously demonstrated that if you remove one component from a mousetrap, it can still serve a different function, as a tie clip, for example. And remember that many of the complex biochemical systems we see today began...
No, they didn't. No, he didn't. Talking about a damn mousetrap for a fucking tie clip. Are you... Come on, bro. That's such a stretch. It can serve a vast array of functions. It could be a mouse, a tie clip, a penis ring, any of that. A mouse trap. Come on, these guys are just, they're trying to draw us away from our spirituality. Oh, my goodness. What's up? Oh, that's a pretty picture, baby. You're doing a very good job. Teach your sister how to draw, too. The logic is fallible. Absolutely fallible.
Again, as other things that were adapted to new functions as they gained components and additional attributes.
Certain living organisms also cannot be simplified or reduced in complexity and survive. The removal of any one part causes the system to cease functioning. Irreducibly complex systems cannot be produced gradually by slight successive modifications.
Hold on, I gotta call this number out. And to see if it's even a real deal here. I know I'm wrong, but I could play my old man's voice.
You have reached the world to come with David C. Pack. To receive today's free offer, please slowly and clearly say and spell your full name, address number, street name, city, state, and zip code, followed by the 2 or 3-digit offer code from the broadcast you viewed. Please feel free to include any questions or comments, including how you found the World to Come program. Your feedback is helpful and appreciated. Please begin your message after the tone.
Please leave a message after the tone. When you have finished, please hang up or press the pound key for more options.
Hi, this is Cecil Winfelstein. I saw your program and I want to get your book. I don't believe I came from a monkey. I believe I can fly. I ate up. But anyhow, you know, wow. Well, at least you know that the number works. Of course, their theories don't, but the number does work. Let's continue this madness. We're on the train wreck today, y'all.
From a less complicated precondition. They must exist exactly as they are, whole, complete, or they cannot exist at all. Take away any part and they cease to function and therefore to live.
You seem to be confused about what an organism is. An organism is a life form, the entity of a living thing. Every organism can be simplified and still live. Every organ can be simplified and still function. Every organelle, which are like the organs of a cell, can also be simplified and still function. You're not talking about an organism, you're talking about molecular components, and you're still wrong even then, because all of them can still function even simplified, although their original function may have been different.
What are the implications of this? Charles Darwin, in his famous work, The Origin of Species, framed a giant...
Hold on. How come he doesn't say the whole name of the book? Hold on. We're going to get the real name of that damn book. It's not just The Origins of Species. There's a little something at the end. The name of Charles Darwin's book.
The books by Charles Darwin include On the Origin of Species, The Voyage of the Beagle, The Descent of Man, and Selection in Relation to Sex, and others.
No, hold on. Hold on. The original name of Charles Darwin's book, The Origins of Species.
According to Wikipedia, On the Origin of Species, published on the 24th of November 1859, is a work of scientific literature by Charles Darwin which is considered to be the foundation of evolutionary biology.
Okay, obviously they didn't read what's right here. On the Origins of Species, or more completely, here's the real name of the fucking book. The Origins of Species by means of natural selections or the preservations of favored races in the struggle for life. Did you get that? Favored races in the struggle of life. So don't sit here and talk about this evolution deal is going to free anybody. It's going to tell you, black man, black woman, and every other unfavorable race out there, and you should know if you're favorable or unfavorable by now, this thing is all about the struggle for life. That's why they're going in so deep on this, y'all. Hopefully Mark will be calling me later today. He's supposed to be having a lunch with a gentleman. But let's get back to the video. I wasn't going to tell you guys that. I wanted that to be a surprise. But, you know, who knows? It might happen, might not. Just pray.
Problem for him and all evolutionists. If it could be demonstrated, he wrote, that any complex organ existed which could not possibly have been formed by numerous successive slight modifications, my theory would absolutely break down. Those are his words. Yet nature contains endless biochemical systems that cannot be reduced in complexity.
That is the claim of intelligent design creationists. But that claim was put to the test in 2004 in the Kitzmiller versus Dover trial, and it failed to that.
Oh, God. You know what? How come our court of law, thank God we have had Judge Joe Brown on before. It's not absolute. You do realize people are sentenced to death, people are sentenced to life on the mere fact of what the jury thinks, regardless to the evidence. So what he's trying to use a court case to prove that what the other guy is saying is wrong, which I don't really agree with the other guy either, but the other guy's wrong in itself is fallacy. Ascension is the real metaphysics. You got that right, Brother Nick. Ascend to a higher vibrational plane. Use critical thinking skills and understand that God gave you a brain to use and not lose. Because after listening to these basically agents out here, your mind will be wasted. Let's continue. Uh-oh. Hello? Testing. What the hell?
Test. Dr. Michael Behe was a biochemist representing a covert creationist organization called the Discovery Institute. He brought a handful of the best examples of irreducible complexity that they could hope to defend, and it was shown that every one of them had already been refuted by science before it was disproved again in a court of law. For example, Behe said that removing any one part of the bacterial flagellum will prevent it from acting as a rotary motor. However, the court ruled Professor Behe excludes by definition the possibility that a precursor of the bacterial flagellum functioned not as a rotary motor, but in some other way, for example, as a secretory system. Behe said, science will never find an evolutionary explanation for the immune system. But the court saw that he was presented with 58 peer-reviewed publications, 9 books, and several immunology textbook chapters on the evolution of the immune system. However, he simply insisted that this was still not sufficient evidence of evolution and that it was not good enough. He said that each and every element of the complex cascade of enzymes and cofactors must be in place for blood clotting to work. But the court was shown that the evolution of complex molecular systems can occur in several ways. Natural selection can bring together parts of a system to function at one time and then at a later time recombine those parts with other systems or components to produce a system that has a different function. The complex biochemical cascade resulting in blood clotting has been explained in this fashion. Finally, the court ruled, "We therefore find that Professor Behe's claim for irreducible complexity has been refuted in peer-reviewed research papers and has been rejected by the scientific community at large. Additionally, even if irreducible complexity had not been rejected, it still does not support ID as it is merely a test for evolution, not design." Now, this is important because in this case, the judge was a Bush-appointed conservative Christian, and the star witness for evolution also held traditional Christian beliefs. So God's existence was already assumed and not in question for most of the people involved in that trial. Yet they determined that criticism of evolution does not qualify as evidence of intelligent design. So what does that do for you and your...
Hold on, stop the process. Sister Hunt's in the house. Welcome to the show. Glad you made it back. Glad the Most High woke you up today. Let's continue.
Claims of having proof of God. I should also mention that the conservative Christian judge lamented how witnesses for intelligent design who proudly touted their religious convictions in public would time and again lie to cover their tracks and disguise the real purpose behind the ID policy. This included where Michael Behe redefined his terms incorrectly in order to avoid admitting evidence that had already proved him wrong.
You will see that Darwin would today say his theory has failed utterly. Its many breakdowns mean it cannot be true. He would say this. Sadly, he's not here to tell us to drop his theory, that it's false. If only people would believe Charles Darwin's own rules governing his ideas. No one would believe evolution. Back from the grave, he would be the first to disown the theory of evolution.
No, he wouldn't. If Darwin were alive today, he'd have won the Nobel Prize for his discovery. I wish you were open to two-way conversation, but the reason you're not is that all of your claims are false. You can't list any of these many breakdowns because Darwin's theory hasn't had any breakdowns. Darwin made many specific predictions, which should only be true if his theory was right, and nearly all of them have been confirmed. Darwin proposed a process of natural selection, and since his time, field biologists have demonstrated natural selection in action numerous times. Darwin predicted that there should be transitional species discovered in the fossil record, and since then, other scientists have found hundreds and hundreds of them, with many of those lineages now effectively complete, including our own. There are no more missing links anymore. The first of those discoveries occurred within Darwin's lifetime. Darwin recognized that the limbs of birds look like the limbs of dinosaurs, but with the fingers fused together. So he predicted that there should be an ancient bird discovered with unfused wing fingers. Such should not exist unless evolution is true, and the first example out of many was discovered just a couple years later. Darwin also predicted the discovery of Precambrian fossils, and now we know of several. And Darwin also argued that the Earth had to be at least hundreds of millions of years old, and he said that humans living today were the same race, which in his time meant that they were all the same species, and he said that our species first occurred in Africa. He also realized that offspring inherit units of...
Well, hold on now. How come the species couldn't have started in China or Europe or South America or any other fucking place? You know, once again, when you take out the spiritualness inside you, you lose the ability to really disseminate truth from BS. All right? Now, don't forget. No, you can't. I don't know. This is broken. Throw this away. You got to throw this away. This is broken, baby. Yeah. Yeah, you got to throw that away. But don't forget, these guys are making money portraying the so-called truth up here.
Of information from both father and mother. He didn't know about genetics. He couldn't figure that part out. But the discoveries of other scientists soon filled that gap. Every relevant discovery to date continues to support or confirm Darwin's theory, which is why evolution is now the foundation of modern biology, and Darwin would have every reason to be proud of that fact were he around today.
we start with an example of molecular machines to better appreciate the complexity of cells. Japanese and German scientists have now discovered the smallest of nature's machines.
Now, back to what he's talking about, Darwin. Irregardless of what anyone says, we all should know that Darwin, whatever, was a Catholic defunct priest, drunk, okay? Went down to the island, probably screwing little boys, doing what he does. Oh, and while he's raping these children, he probably, there's a frog. Oh, check it out. And just to give you a sense of how long the rape continued, he saw the frog go from a damn tadpole into a damn frog. Listen, y'all. If you want to believe in science, that's totally up to you. Neil deGrasse Tyson, he's awfully hardcore atheist as well. A lot of brothers and sisters look up to him because he's the Hadrian planetarian director, or a famous guy on TV and all that. But if you're spiritual, you better understand he's looking at you like this gentleman on this video here. You're a damn fool because you believe in mystical pixie dust, as they would say. But all they're talking about is that they understand how everything came to be. When once again, y'all, I'm not asking a scientist to just tell me what a fucking megalodon or a triceratops ate a billion years ago. Just tell me, what did I have for lunch yesterday? I mean, if you can tell what things are eaten billions of years ago, without cutting me open, of course. I don't want, we can, cut you up and see which. No. The reason why, because if you're not there to observe whatever you're talking about, chances are in this day and age, you got the wrong story.
Machines called tiny engines. Advanced research on these remarkable super small engines of life begs the question, where did they come from? A group of Japanese scientists exploring the crystal structure of F1 ATPase enzyme discovered nature's own rotary engine, no bigger than 10 billionths by 10 billionths by 8 billionths of a meter. The tiny motor includes the equivalent of an engine block, drive shaft, and 3 pistons. It runs at speeds between 1/2 and 4 revolutions per second. This motor not only ranks as the smallest ever seen, it also represents the smallest motor that the laws of physics and chemistry will allow.
When you say these things have the equivalent of 3 pistons, your listeners probably don't realize that it doesn't actually have any pistons.
No, I'm going to wipe your nose.
In real life, ATPase looks like wibbly-wobbly molecular masses fluctuating according to thermal noise. But in diagrams, they're simplified to look like brand-name rotary motors on sale at the Home Improvement Depot. So they're a favorite among intelligent design proponents. Remember that the claim of irreducible complexity is that science can't give a natural explanation for these. So it's no surprise that you didn't mention that the German scientists have illustrated a step-by-step process for how these could have evolved. American scientists also described in detail how there was a single point mutation at one stage, followed by a loss of function in this other gene, and then subsequent duplication/fusion of a different gene, followed by another loss of function in this other gene, and how that could explain the sequence of how the structure was built, piece by piece, one mutation at a time, and how it changed functions at...
Hold on, let's go.
Okay, children, let's count the days of the week. Yay! Sunday. Yay! Monday. 2. Tuesday. 3. Wednesday. 4. Thursday. Friday. 6. Saturday. Sábado.
It's so simple, even a kid can figure it out.
Remember the Sabbath day to keep it holy.
What a powerful short message. This is from Brother Forerunner 777. Very simple message. Know what time you're dwelling in, friends.
Stages, but remain functional at every stage. These also include a phylogenetic ortholog and referenced analyses of stoichiometry to confirm how the described steps were evident both in the structure and in the genome.
All right, let's do that.
The reason that you're not aware of any of this is because you don't get your information from people trying to do science, but from people trying to undo science.
In Germany, a research team used new instruments to examine an enormous molecule, the yeast 26S proteasome. Though not the largest molecule in existence, this one contains over 2 million protons and neutrons and is the largest non-symmetrical molecule mapped to date. This molecule can only be described as a wonder. It serves as an intracellular waste disposal and recycling system. Recognize such an organism could never have evolved gradually.
No.
This is literally impossible.
No.
Funny that when you read the peer-reviewed scientific literature, all the experts are convinced that it is possible, and you'll never be able to cite any experiments or evidence showing that it's not. For example, this study shows that the 26S proteasome can be separated into 3 stably associated subcomplexes, and it gives a sequence of evolutionary steps. 28 of its 31 subunits are simply recycled from existing proteasomes. This other study shows a genetic ortholog indicating that proteasomes were present in the last eukaryotic common ancestor, but that certain subtypes were lost in specific lineages such as birds. Now, why would God eliminate these subtypes from specific lineages as if all of this happened by random mutations that were subsequently inherited? Is God trying to convince everyone that evolution is true?
Together by 3 types of connectors. Subfibers A are joined to the central microtubules by radial spokes.
These babies are not going to let
Verifiably accurate answer we have came from science, and then recite a string of logical facts. Now you can either examine the...
Hold on, before the end of this video right here, I want you guys to listen to the music he consciously chooses to play. That he consciously chooses to play. Listen to this and internalize it. Don't take it for truth when you take it for validation of what spirit he's dwelling in. Hold on.
The situation to look at all the indications of how it came about, or you can imagine that it came pre-assembled according to a magic spell cast by an invisible man. However, history has consistently shown that the second route will never result in either a right answer or a useful one.
We should stand in awe of any God great enough just to design and create cilia.
But you haven't shown that your God can make cilia. In fact, you haven't shown that your God even exists, nor that it even could exist. And you certainly haven't given any indication of what it can or cannot do. All you've done is recite a string of logical fallacies and circular arguments routing back to your assumed conclusion without presenting any evidence to support your position at all. One of the tactics I commonly see from creationists is they'll ask me, how do you explain this? And I start to explain, and then I interrupt that answer and ask, well, how do you explain that? And then I start to explain, and they interrupt that answer too. And they keep interrupting the answers to ask new questions until they finally get to the point where I say, well, we don't know the answer to that yet. And they say, see, you get to a point where you can't explain it. They don't want to know that there are answers, and they don't want to know that science has all the answers. They ignore it all, not realizing that every verifiably accurate answer we have came from science, and that religion doesn't explain anything and can't show that anything it says is actually true the way only science can. That's why I always say that science doesn't know everything, but religion doesn't know anything.
Yeah. Did you hear the music? And look at the clouds. Look at the clouds that he choose. Don't forget, everything in this video is there by design, y'all. The dark energy of the music. Yeah, you see the cloud? That's a storm cloud. That's where rain comes from. Rain? Remember rain outside the other day?
Yeah.
You do? Good. Now, the problem that we got here, guys, is that if you're not spiritually sound, yeah, it does. Yes, it does look like a bear. Right here. See the snout, the eyes, the ears, the mouth is facing that way. Yes, it does look like a bear. But it's that music. It's yes. And like I say, if you listen to the wrong type of music, you become the wrong type of man. All right? Now, hold on. One thing. Oh, you want to get down? All right, come on, get down. I don't think I've ever searched for this. I want to search for this. I know the show's going on a little longer than normal. Please bear with me. Hold on. Oh my God. Hold on. It's kind of trying over here. Black atheists on YouTube. Oh wow! Here, check this out. Why are there so very few black atheists? Well, why do you think? Monkey. What the fuck? Won't you listen to reason? Will you open your eyes?
Akron, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Fine.
Hi. I'm an atheist. I'm a black atheist. And recently, actually last year around December, I actually became an atheist, and it became kind of hard for me. I made a YouTube. I didn't really know who to talk to. I just wanted to know, what do you think about the shortage of Black Americans being atheists? Why is it so hard?
Wait.
Boy,
wait. Why are you asking these guys? I'm not trying to be ignorant here, y'all, but why is this woman asking these two guys why black folks ain't becoming atheists? Why don't you go out to black folks and ask them, hey, brother, sister, why are you not an atheist like me? Hold on. Let's see what they have to say.
Wouldn't you know that better than us?
I mean, I don't know. I've tried to figure it out, but it just seems like white people are more open for some reason.
Huh. So maybe your question to us should be, why does it seem like it's so much easier for white people? But again, not really having your experience to compare mine to, I don't really know.
Yeah, we've talked about this before. We actually had some calls a month or two ago when we were still doing the show from my place.
Stop this foolishness. Sister Hunt. She knows the answer. That chick on the phone knows the answer, sister. And these fools know the answer as well.
Place where we talked about, why there don't seem to be as many black atheists. Now, whether or not that's true, I don't know. Maybe there's just as many when you consider, relative population sizes, but they're not as many outspoken, which just changes the question as to why are there, fewer outspoken. I don't know. I could guess about some things. I'd feel really bad. You're getting near dangerous territory of stereotyping. We've talked before about the kind of the possibility that all religion is some form of Stockholm syndrome, because it's always been absurd to me that the African American community would embrace the religion that enslaved them and took away, their identity.
Hold on. Before you start, mister, it wasn't just Christians that were taking people from Kemet. It was the Arabs. It was the people who hated the Hebrew Israelites, other black folks. It was Christians as well. It was Hindus, because we have documents of slaves showing up in China. So don't sit here and be like, oh, it's just the Christians that enslaved black folks, just to meet your little damn agenda. See, this is why I hate when people be asking people questions. Yes, the Spanish, the Portuguese. Come on now. Hey, Sister CJ, welcome to the show. Hold on. Here, get down, baby. There. Now go. Yeah, throw that away.
Identities. And there's been a backlash about that on some fronts. And yet black Christian churches in America are some of the strongest, proudest, most vocal. And I think that it takes a long time to get past the mistakes. So the racist mistakes,
well, damn, dude, how long we've been so-called free for 170 years. How much more time do you need to get it right? To right the wrongs. Oh, no. What's wrong? Why you keep going in there with your sister? Okay, let's continue.
abusive mistakes, the civil rights mistakes that were made that we're gradually starting to correct. I can easily see a future where not only is this not an issue, but it may be an issue the other direction. It's hard to guess at what the causes may be. I do know that at least among, I couldn't even say that. I was going to say that the Black communities are tighter in some senses, and that may be true for some communities and not for others. I think it may be unfair to characterize it based on race or anything else.
Sorry,
so I don't have a good answer. I'm as baffled as anybody else.
Hey, Janetta? I thought I heard at when you started, we first started talking, that you hinted that there were some obstacles that you faced in becoming an atheist, or what has been your experience?
Pretty much, when I turned 18 June 2008, and I went to college. I started taking philosophy courses and stuff like that.
There it is. Yeah, I went to college and I started beginning the buffoonery to get my degree and in debt. So yeah, I won't believe in God, but I have like a $200,000 debt and like totally I need to get a job. But then when I go to the workplace and they see what I look like, they say we don't have any more jobs. And now I'm just only sitting here without God or any hope. And
I just pretty much came to a realization. And then after the realization, I had to, figure out, should I tell my parents?
How am I going to tell you, Mom and Dad? You've been putting food on my table ever since I was a little baby, wiping my ass, you try to teach me about God, but I don't know. Hold on. No.
Do I tell my parents?
Yeah. That's tough for us too.
Yeah. They eventually found out, but yeah. I don't know. It just seemed like it was much more hardcore, among people that I talked to. But yeah, I understand what you guys are saying.
Yeah. Well, yeah. My parents were at the time when they found out about me, both Christian ministers.
Both him being an atheist and a fag. Oh, I meant gay.
So
hold on. I'm sorry. I gotta say this. Spirits tell me said a lot of times, and just so that you know, I just don't go hard in on the Masons. A lot of times at the end of the atheist rainbow, it's gonna be a bucket of lube and you bent over a chair, man, and woman, you'll be behind the man like a man with a strap on going up in the man, like it's perverted.
Oh, it was difficult. And I know Matt's family are very religious. Are you familiar with some of the bigger names in atheism who happen to be African American, like Reginald Finley?
I'm not.
Reginald Finley has done a podcast for years. I know he's still doing some kind of show. You might want to look him up on the internet. And is Neil deGrasse Tyson an atheist?
He is, by my definition. Out of everything I've ever seen in.
Yeah, let's just get the black chick, to any black guy we know that is anti-God. I mean, if atheism's so inclusive, why she has to go to a melanated man? How come she can't get the information from you two gentlemen? Just like anything. Popeye's hiring, you got to start somehow where to learn socialization. I love it. This is awesome.
Say, I don't know if he identifies himself with that label or not.
Is he an astrophysicist? Is that his field? Yeah, Neil deGrasse Tyson is also prominent. So it could also be that it's not quite as bad as you think, and it might just take a little looking around.
The other thing is that, as somebody else pointed out, the ACA has had black members in the past and has some currently.
Oh my God, dear God, Most High. Hold on. All I'm hearing from these guys is, hey, we got a black guy here and we got a black guy here. Bring out Bobo. Drag his ass out. Bobo, talk to this girl. Now. No, you're not holding this water and spilling it everywhere. No! Stop! What? You woke up on the wrong side of bed or something? Did you wake up on the wrong side of bed or something? Well, then why are you acting like this?
We've been asked this with regard to other classifications as well. Why are there so few female outspoken atheists? Comparatively, I mean, we live in a population, at least in the United States, that's 51% or so, maybe higher, female, and yet while our group was founded by a woman.
I think the reason why, and maybe some of you sisters can help me out. I think the reason why most women kind of believe in God, if you're ever sitting there with a baby coming out of your vajayjay, I think that it's a spiritual point where you realize, whoa, this is real and this is righteous. That could be why.
The military, Kathleen Johnson, I talked about before, the Military Association of Atheists and Freethinkers, woman, founded that organization, and yet seemingly out on the forefront or the most outspoken or identifiable among atheists seem to be males. And if you run around YouTube, I may have seen one of your videos, but if you run around YouTube and look, what you're going to see is a lot of young white males talking about their atheism. By and large,
and that part should be the scariest bit. Brothers and sisters, what he just said right there should be the scariest bit. Because after they get finished talking about their races or their lack of God, their atheism, they're going to start talking about their racism and start talking about having a plan to where they're totally on top. When they're walking down the street, you had better get your monkey ass. Don't forget they're atheists, so you are indeed a monkey. Your monkey ass off into the ditch while they walk their highly evolved ass down the sidewalk. So if you don't understand, this is what I've been trying to tell you and illustrate to you guys all morning, is that you think that like this poor little girl on the show here, she don't get it. Janetta don't understand. All right. Now she's going into college there, and she's around these posh liberal types that don't give a damn about you. They not only do they want to fuck you up physically on the physical plane, they also want to fuck you up spiritually on the spiritual plane. So just keep that in mind. There's only a couple more moments of this video, and then we'll be wrapping things up here.
Are increasing numbers of women involved, and there are increasing number of minorities, whether it be Black, Hispanic, whatever, involved now. I think we're in this state of flux where it's really hard to measure anything, and we should just wait a while, let things play out, let people get a little bit more comfortable. As soon as more people are comfortable with saying, yeah, I don't believe, and I'm willing to say it.
No, brother Al, we're on this atheist kick, man. You should have heard this poor little chick call into the show asking these two clowns why black folks ain't atheists. You know what I'm saying? She's all like, I don't know, I'm telling you guys, these atheists aren't playing game. And what he's really saying, the code here is saying more white folks become atheists, and the funding for all various Christians and Muslims and other religious sects goes to the wayside, then by default, more people will become atheists. Let's just finish this out because I don't want to be accused of suppressing information.
I don't believe. I think you're going to see the floodwaters in that direction, and you might find that there are a lot more atheists in a variety.
Why do these guys care? Hold on. I'm sorry.
How's it going?
I'm so sorry. I was about ready to.
A real online.
I was about ready. But why are African Americans still so religious? Oh, hell no. I'm sorry. I got to let this one roll, and we're going to break this shit down.
I want to share something really.
Lawrence in Dallas, how are you?
Hey, man.
Thanks for waiting.
Oh, man, it's all good, man. First of all, I just want to say, man, you, JD, and Tracy, man, well, you and JD, man, Jeff D, I'm sorry.
Hold up. This is from Brother Al. Satan ain't got to do nothing because these fools are doing it all for him. Hold on, baby. Let's play this.
I would never want to go against y'all. Like, I would hate to be Ted Haggard against you two. Like,
they're all the nicest people you would ever meet. I promise.
Yeah, but you cool too, Don. Like, okay. you cool too. But
no, they're awesome. Yeah, I agree with you. They're awesome.
And it's just funny. Like that last caller, it's just overwhelming and mind-boggling how people are still, I guess I can say, warped.
Yeah.
Or like, kind of like have that, that religion on the brain thing. And I was like that. I mean, I hate that, I know that's a cliche and, stuff like that. But I just remember how adherent I was about Christianity. And even...
You know what? I'm going to say it like this, brother. The man that's on this talking, the Lawrence guy from Dallas, all right? Not these two gentlemen yet. All you're hearing is a soul that has been so beat down and broken that they gave up the last thing. It's our spirituality, yeah, I'm telling you. But we don't use our spirituality correctly. We just sit here on our butts thinking, oh my God, I think a certain way, so everything. No! Yes, I see the darkness in their eyes. Look at that. Look. The darkness is there, yeah. Like good point, Brother Al. Sister Hunt, the devil at work. Now, I'm not sitting here trying to be a pulpit preacher or nothing like that. Certainly not trying to tell anyone what to worship, whom to worship. All I'm saying is, and this is from my sincere heart, if you give up your your spirituality, which can manifest in a spiritual way, if you give that up, then you indeed, other than the melanation in your skin, you won't have anything. Any gifts from God, the Most High. And there's only one God. And a lot of this confusion is coming from these fools' books, trying to mess up your mind. Whoa, that's pretty. Let me show everybody. Look at this picture she drew for me, y'all. That's a ladybug. Look at that. Very good. I'm very good. Now, let's continue on. There's only a few moments to this, yeah. I just had to see where they're going at with this African Americans still so religious. Because the only reason why many of us are so religious, because we know we don't get no love nowhere else. But at the temple, but at the church, but at the synagogue, if there's any there. Let's continue.
In the midst of me, reading the Bible and stuff and, studying it, it was things I come across. Like, I started from Genesis and just...
I'm so sorry. I got to stop once again. This is too important. Brother is on fire. And hopefully your appointment went well, brother. There is good and evil. You can't worship both. There is no in between. Either you worship good or you worship evil. Either you worship God or you worship yourself. There is no in between. Let's continue.
Went on, and even the things that, like the slaughter of women and children and slavery being okay, like, it was just things like that just really didn't rub me right. Like wow.
Yeah, it doesn't make sense. Yeah, the Bible's a great path to atheism.
Right. And I listen to you guys all the time. Like, I pull up all your YouTube clips, and I've been watching you guys every day for a year now, and man, like,
go outside, take a walk.
I hope you, like I said, I'm not going to take up a lot of your time. I hope you guys keep up the good work. I mean, whether you know it or not, people out there like such as myself really have learned a lot just from looking at you guys' archive.
All right, hold on. I see a number up here. I'm calling their number. I'm going to act like I'm some deluded soul and see what they got to say. You put a number on. I'm a guy that's not scared to call. Let's call and see what's up. Let's see what's up with this mess. Let's see what's up with this mess. Who am I going to be? Gary Heathen? Terry Heathen? is an active show, kind of 2011. It might not be an active line, y'all. Do they not have an answer machine? Oh, come on. Ethan Joe. Ethan Joe. Oh, come on. Wow, this is pathetic. All right. Well, they obviously don't have an answer machine. Hello? Oh, damn. No, they don't have no answer machine. Okay, right on. I'll catch them at another time. Do you love the devil? Then don't call them, bro. No, I don't love the devil. I wanted to ask them their philosophy. They just can't understand him. We, as people, stay beaten down, and still we rise. We have human. Yes, human, man. I see. Put that. Oh, you walking the dog. Okay. And dark matter. God matters. Melanin. Yes, sister. They overdosed on opioids back in 2018. I mean, you can tell there's some big dudes. You know what I'm saying? But, you know, to sit here and just you know, whatever.
Well, and I didn't know what the hell biogenesis was until I ran across Matt.
Yeah.
And,
there's a lot of good stuff out
just,
there. Yeah.
It's just sad because, you know, being African American, you know, predominantly our community consists of, as far as religion, Christianity. And I mean, you would think like this particular group, like we would be less inclined to be Christian. And I just don't understand this. Even some of my closest friends, man, they look at me as I was like, oh, you know, you're agnostics, and you know, here you go with your agnosticism, and you know, I'm like, man.
I see this in the gay community too. There's a lot of gay people that are.
Look how quickly he turned it from Africans and African Americans and made it a gay issue. Yeah, I see a lot of gays. Of course, gays are going to be non-religious because most religions look down on their personal behavior. Duh, it's not that hard to understand.
That are really being persecuted today by Christians, and it just doesn't occur to them.
Wow. Did you hear that, y'all? Gays are really being persecuted today by Christians. What about blacks getting our asses kicked all day long? Every corner of this nation, damn near planet. But you had to sit here and talk about a butt fuck getting fucking persecuted. Now I'm getting pissed. Because I see what this is all about. You know, they're going to call you a monkey. Never mind. Let's just let them indict themselves.
To question their religious faith. They just don't even think about it. Because it's such an entrenched thing. I think that, you know, there's this quote by a priest a number of centuries ago that give me a child to the age of 7 and I'll have him forever. So, wow. And this is really kind of true. Yeah, this is really kind of true. It is a very hard thing to leave the church, leave the teachings, leave your culture, right? Because there's so much pressure not to do that. And so, you know, in the African American community, the church is really a big part of the social glue there.
Exactly.
And it's just really tough to be an outsider. You know, it takes a certain kind of personality who's very strong. And you know, I'm thrilled that we have role models like Reggie Finley and Neil deGrasse Tyson. They're awesome role models, and I hope that more people will follow in their footsteps. Maybe you can do that.
So my question for you, Lawrence, since we've been asked this and we've addressed it a number of times, is do you have an explanation for why there's not a bigger African American presence in the atheist agnostic community?
Yeah, we'd love to hear your perspective.
And why so many of them seem to be ironically attached to the same religion that enslaved them?
Honestly, I mean, I think it goes as far as back as, you know, I hate to be repetitive or anything, as far as back as slavery. You know, Master used this book to justify, you know, the injusticeness and the horrendousness, if that's a word, of that whole thing that took place, and therefore, you know, we couldn't read, at a certain point in time. And then, when this book was introduced and bestowed upon us, I guess it gave hope in a sense, and we ran with it, and it was passed down, just like things of this, like anything today. It was passed down, and therefore, that's how you came about that. I mean,
I am not. What I'm tripping on here, y'all, isn't the form of spirituality you practice. What I'm tripping on is the disconnect that these two gentlemen are propagating throughout. All right? Do what works for you. And yes, there is no man in the cloud. White man in the cloud passing judgment. Or if so, the judgment that he's handing down, I'm not cool with. The judgment that you're going to have to be twice as hard. You better be 10 times as strong. And you better be able to have some fool come up and call you a nigger to your face and not get upset. I'm not cool with that shit. Now let's continue on with this buffoonery.
There are some strong messages in the Bible about being oppressed and how to cope in that situation, and that might be heartening for folks.
Well, how would you know? How have you been oppressed unless you're a faggot there, Mr. Whoever you are? Or gay? I better quit using the F word. I don't want to be labeled as a bigot or my God, a homo hater or whatever, because I don't hate. And hold on. That brings me to another point before I go down this road with the video here. I had an email from a young man. I'm assuming it's a brother. And he's young, and he said that he's a homosexual, but he's seen the show, and he wants to be a part of the show. I say words like fag or gay or shit like that, all right? But don't get it twisted. This show, this movement is about uplifting the people, period. The people, all people. If you're a homosexual and you want to donate or be a part of the movement by sharing the videos and helping spread the overall general message, absolutely. Absolutely. But don't come in here trying to subvert this thing and turn this into Gay Blade Part 2. We all do things that aren't cool in our lives. But we have to come together for common cause and purpose to uplift us all. That's what I'm talking about. And gays can be a part of that. Lesbians can be a part of that. Hell, even a racist can fund the show. You can send them money if you're racist and you feel guilty. If you're out there and you're hate-filled, but you're wealthy, you know you're about ready to die soon, absolutely send in some money, fund this. So the same people who trained you to be hateful, once we grow and become powerful, maybe we can stop that cycle from occurring and you won't learn these hateful things. Now, are you going to be a part of the leadership? No. Are you going to be talking to the children of the group? No. But you absolutely can fund us. You can share the videos and you can get a little of that guilt up off your chest. Hell, I'll even pray for you. But you're going to have to do something. You're going to have to bring something to the table and don't expect us to go out of our way to cater to you because we can't even get ourselves right yet. And until that happens on an individual personal level with each and every one of us, no, you can't be in a position of leadership because I'm not going to allow this movement to be subverted. And then the next thing you see, all of us up here with dresses and damn nails talking about, Illuminati's not that bad once you get to know them. Having theocracy, it's all good as long as you can buy these fake nails. Throw that away. What is that? Throw that away. I don't know what it is. Play-Doh sticky? Well, you need to put it in this container, baby. All right, let me continue this. I didn't know I would get triggered by this topic here.
Right. And to be fair, while I will
stand by my position all day long that it was secular progressive values that have begun the process of systematically ending slavery. This wasn't done entirely.
No, sir, it was not. And let's be honest here. It was the guilt that decent white Christian folks felt for seeing brothers and sisters of the faith down there in bondage in the South. Now, you can say whatever you want to after that, but that's the real reason. It had shit to do with some, don't forget what, Darwin was born in what, 1890? The Civil War happens in 1863 or 1861. So, yeah, your boy Darwin came late to the game. In fact, let me verify that. Just so that I know that I'm on point. When was Charles Darwin born? Okay, 1809. I got the numbers reversed. My bad. He was born in 1809. What, just like 40-something years prior to the Civil War? Or 50-something years prior to 51? 52 years. 52 years prior to the Civil War. All right? So your little secular bullshit don't fly. Because the movement, your little atheistic movement wasn't that big back then. So come on, they don't. Nah, sir, they don't give a fuck about us. Period.
Entirely by secularists. There was a huge segment of the Christian population that were abolitionists, that were proponents of ending slavery. Now, they were directly in violation of what their own holy book said, but it was like we talked before about how Islam is kind of in its infancy and hasn't been dragged kicking and screaming into the modern era the way the bulk of Christianity has. And so but Christianity didn't change because the Bible changed, because we know that that's not happening. It didn't change because God came down and gave a new revelation, because, well, we know that's not going to happen either. It changed because the culture around it changed.
And forced it to change, right?
Look at the things that people considered the values that they held in biblical times, and then in later centuries as you progress, there's a well, not really steady, but there's an upward trend, and it's because of the influence of the secular society and the progressives and the people who were more concerned with equality.
You mean progressives like Martha Zinger, the Planned Parenthood, out to eugenic kill off all the black folks, those type of progressives? Or what about progressives like Bernie Sanders? Blacks will not get no reparations. I get it. Reparations ain't happening. I get it. I'm just doing this to prove a point. We know that when it comes to racism, when it comes to power and wealth, that we are not going to get any consideration. You better understand that.
Equality and freedom and unity than the divisive, oppressive, authoritarian kind of pattern that Christianity began with and that Judaism began with.
Exactly.
Don't say exactly, brother, on the phone. You don't know, because the reality, the original Hebrews, and I'm going to say it, were black. Nappy head, the whole 9 yards. They didn't look like Mr. Baldhead, Mr. Clean Hair with the funny goatee. All right. Let's hurry and wrap up this foolishness, man. I got work I got to do.
Exactly. And I mean, not to disregard that, but I mean, like as far as family values and stuff, I honestly do not see how one could derive their morality from that book. And
yes, I agree.
It's like you guys always touch on this. How certain most Christians, the hell with it. Most Christians, they want to pick whatever's fluffy and whatever's convenient, and but he loves us, and he gave his only begotten son, but totally disregard the slaughter of innocent Egyptian children. At the end of the blood sacrifices and rape and all that kind of stuff, and how God basically has a bigger body count than the devil, because actuality, the devil doesn't seem like that bad of a guy.
Yeah, not only that, but evidently God.
Wow, a deluded, polluted mind. I feel so sorry for that brother. Hopefully Mr. Lawrence from Dallas, Texas is still alive to try to write that. The devil is not a bad guy. Oh, you know they like it. They're probably getting a couple of hearts on. Wishing they had that brother up there. They could make a reverse Oreo cookie. Dark in between the two. This is just disgusting.
And stupidly created a system where the devil wins by default. Like, I'm going to set up this game with you, and I'm going to give you all the chips, and the chips have to voluntarily choose to come over to my side. Who sets up a game like that?
One more thing, because I don't want to take up too much of you guys' time. I was going back and forth with a reverend, a deacon, or whatever he was. And the best he could come up with, he asked me, okay, why aren't you religious anymore? Why don't you, I said, well, because I, like you, Matt, I've actually read the Bible, and even if there is a God, or God in the Bible anyway, which is a title.
It's pretty stinky.
Yes. Naverse. I wish I could pronounce your name correctly. I want to share this comment with the world so it's on record. People need to learn diversity if we are to share this planet. And I think within that question lies the true issue. Do people really want to share this planet? Do people really want to share this planet? And at this point in time, I have to say, Navars. Your brother or sister, I can't tell by your profile pic. Because I believe in gender. I believe in gender. I believe in what's between the thigh. All right. But no, what we got to understand is that this type of mental sister, Sister Navars, beautiful comments you've been commenting on. I recognize your name. I've seen your comments on past videos as well. Beautiful comments, and I'm sincerely thank you for participating on the show. Sister Hunt, boom, there it is. Oops, there it is. They don't even want to share America. So the planet, we should know. No joking here, no BS. I think the answer has to be no. Unequivocally, no. People do not want to share now they want to share the work, the labor. They definitely want to share that with us. Get out there and pick that cotton. Oh, that is a company name. Okay, awesome. Each and every one of you souls in here right now, and you do have a soul, whether you accept it or not. Each and every one of you are precious. You all are. We tried to share it, and certain groups created a financial system and have colonized. Yes. And you can thank Satan for that. Mr. Not So Bad of a Guy. So all those babies who starved to death, literally starved to death, where there's food all around. For all the mothers out there who's homeless with those babies right now as we speak. These women are walking the streets with little ones. No way to change the diaper. No way to give them milk. No way to lay down without bugs and shit crawling on them. I'm sorry. I'm done. I am so done with this damn topic and this buffoonery. If we cannot empathize with those of us who have been hit the hardest, then you know what? Then by God, we all deserve to burn. We all deserve to be wiped the fuck on out and reset this bitch again. Because obviously we lack the common humanity God has given the damn dogs. We are the premier species on the planet. But yet we can't even get over these little hurdles. How the hell are we going to ever go to outer space? Perhaps we weren't ever designed to go there. Maybe that's my fallacy. Maybe that's my brainwashing. To want to get higher and explore regions of the universe instead of being trapped down here at each other's throats over an empire of dirt. Everything is dust on this planet, except for our spirits. If there is a Satan, what can he or she do to me and my people that Europeans haven't not done? I would say distort the minds of your babies, but that has been done as well. I would say beat you and cut on your body with whips and sword and gun, but that's already been done as well. The only thing that Satan can do for the people through his brutal ways, manipulative doctrine, is to show us all, one and all, we need God now more than ever before. We need God not just to bless us and give us extra on top of what we need. We need God just to allow for a way for us to get what we need. And we are so beaten down, we consider that a major blessing. That should really show you the state of being in which we are all in. There's only 2 more minutes of this. We're going to let it roll. Really apologize for being triggered. Normally, I try to keep my cool. Normally, I try to keep it this copacetic. But, like, today, like, yeah, like, it was like, I heard things like, that upsetted me, like, fucking dork-ass kids.
I don't think I would want to worship anybody like that. And, you know, he goes off and uses some irrelevant analogy about, you know, the king and the kingdom has to make sacrifice. I'm like, whatever. So, you know, make a long story short, the best thing he could come up with to justify it is the Dead Sea Scrolls. And I want to know, like, where do you stand with the Dead Sea Scrolls? You know, how is that relevant to?
They're not. I mean, they're old papers, and they're useful for trying to determine as best we can what the earliest versions of Judaism and Christianity look like. But no text on its own could ever be sufficient to justify a miracle claim or a God claim. That's just unreasonable. And the example that I've used, and you've heard it probably before, so I won't repeat it in detail, is I like to compare it to UFO abduction stories, where you can actually go and interview somebody who makes this claim, and several people, and their claims are consistent. They're living people right now, and yet we don't believe them. So why would we believe the anonymous writings of people from thousands of years ago when they clearly knew a lot less about how the world worked than we do now?
Yeah.
Right.
And I have another pointer. Thomas Paine, one of the founders of the United States, wrote a pamphlet called Common Sense, where he argues very eloquently 200 years ago that God would never use a written thing to communicate his meaning to people.
Bow. Finally. A kernel of fucking truth. I'm so sorry for cussing. A kernel. I've been telling you all. I ain't no damn Thomas Paine. I don't got no book, but I do got common sense. It's written on your heart. You're born with it. Sort of like when you buy a computer, it already has software on it, but you as a user got to go in there and use it correctly. Now, the manual to the computer is helpful. It's helpful, but the software is already in the computer. It's already in your heart, spirituality. Now, let's let these fools finish up, and then we'll wrap this thing up.
And that's every argument he made in there is still valid today. This is good stuff, and from a very influential founder of the United States. I recommend checking that out.
Yeah, I bet you do recommend that. And another thing I want to say: how does a loving God send people to hell? Because you don't believe at all. And then this chick. Wow, this is such a weird... Hold on, I'm going to copy. I want to send you guys this link. If you want to follow some of these videos for your own, by all means, absolutely do. These people are damn serious about separating you from God. They already separated you from the land. They already separated you from each other. Now separate you from your spirituality, and it's a wrap. All right? So, let's just hell right down the street. Sister, so right. You're so righteous and so right. All right, guys. This will conclude TPM SR Live. Today's date, May 24th, 2019, the year of our Lord. I sincerely hope it was my sincere motives today to bring you all a program that would be thought-provoking, give you guys something to think about for the rest of your day. Once again, I will have people coming up. The telecommunication systems here is kind of funny. The cell phone's down for a bit, so I just got to rely on the computer phone here. So, what am I saying is this, guys? Whether you're rich, whether you're poor, whether you're man, whether you're woman, whether you're child, whether you're hermaphrodite, whether you're spiritual or not, please remember, you are all loved in one way, shape, or another. And when you're feeling down, you're feeling blue, no one wants to deal with you, I sincerely ask you to honestly look towards yourself in your own heart and start reading what is written there. What is in there pre-uploaded from the moment of your conception in your mother's womb, which is the gateway, the stargate to this realm we call Earth. Alrighty. That being said, y'all, live your life of integrity without hate, envy, or greed. And as always, brothers and sisters, let's try to be kinder to each other. Peace and power. I'm out.